All right, we're good.
All right, this is episode 2 of the Catatonic podcast
Oh yeah,
with your boy Marcus and your boy George here.
excited.
I'm
Day
very
two.
excited. This is definitely a great experience having this.
Got a lot of good feedback on the last one too.
Yeah, we did. It was nice having all
Mm.
that good feedback. It shows that people actually look into this. It shows that they care about this.
They paid attention. You know what I mean? They actually listened to it, which is great.
Exactly.
You turned it into the school, right?
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
turn it in.
Did
Yeah.
you get a grade back on it yet?
Yeah, I got a good grade on it.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, Miss Eckerson really liked it. But today we're going to be talking about the legalization of drugs and relationships with people, like friendships and stuff like that.
Yes.
So now, Marcus, with the legalization of marijuana in Delaware, do you think it'll have an effect on people? For instance, states where like weed is legalized, the DUI rate is actually way higher than states where it's not legalized. So do you think it'll have a negative effect or positive effect on Delaware and its residents?
Well, I look at it kind of like this, right? I feel like it has more of a positive effect because obviously we all know that there's medical benefits to smoking marijuana, to taking different forms of it. You know what I mean? But what I think it really comes down to is it makes it to where it's not a forbidden fruit, basically. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like if it's legal, people won't try to go out of the way to get it and like just overuse it. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
think that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like it won't be as overused as it used to be. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It won't be fucking sold under the table. It won't be distributed through the streets. It won't really ruin lives as much as it will. We have dispensaries.
yeah,
People can get it legally, and DUI rates. Yeah, that might go up because obviously it's legal. So people think it's, oh, I'm good. You know what I mean?
yeah. They can drive with it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So that is a negative that comes with everything.
Yeah,
But it's not necessarily a hard drug to where that might be a problem.
yeah,
So I think overall it's a good idea to legalize it.
yeah,
Medical benefits. I mean, yeah, medical benefits. You know, people get introduced to it more safely. They
yeah,
have trusted. That's another big thing. They have trusted ways to get it.
yeah.
It's funded by the government, all that good shit, and like you're not worried about it being laced if you get it by some fucking crack dealer on the side of the street. So,
Exactly, exactly. I think another good thing with legalizing it is I feel like less people might I feel like less people are gonna like what you're saying is they're not gonna come in contact with like bad forms of it. Like
yes.
because it can be laced with fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people like I haven't seen it, but I know people who've like hit fent carts,
Yeah.
like carts laced with fentanyl, and they like went into an overdose.
And that can just kill you.
Exactly.
Like an overdose of fent is just like game over. It's crazy
Yeah.
how easy it is. Like the smallest dose, just you're done.
Exactly.
It's really scary too. Just on the street, that can just happen. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You just want to go in for a simple high, and then all of a sudden your life's just done.
Yeah, like you're like dead or something,
Yeah.
or you're in the hospital and you have all these complications, and now your parents know if you're like a young buck.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
It's scary, man.
It is scary. Another thing is they actually have flavored weed, like up in New York, where it is legal.
Mm-hmm.
In the state of New York, but people on the streets are selling flavored weed, and it's got like chemicals in it
Yeah.
that make it flavored.
Don't also dispensaries do that too? Like, I don't know too much about it because personally I don't have a medical marijuana card. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I know my old stepdad. He used to have one, and they would have he would talk about them having flavors. Like I remember the one being called Cinderella or something.
yeah,
At the time, I didn't smoke, so I never tried any. But
yeah,
I wonder if it's like that. You know what I mean? I think he explained it like they grew it with like different THC values or something. I'm not intelligent. I'm not like well versed in the subject, so I could just be spewing bullshit. But that's just kind of what I know.
Well, you're kind of right in that aspect because when you grow different strains of weed, it has different flavors,
Hmm.
right? Like the bud will taste differently, and you can actually grow a certain strain of weed to have it have a certain taste.
Yeah.
That's different from like what I'm saying. Like these people will put shit in the bud to make it taste a certain way.
So like just as as an example, they might like put like say sugar in it to make it try and make it sweeter. Just as like a
Yeah,
rough generalization of it.
pretty much. They'll put
Okay.
like orange flavoring or something like that, and apparently it's not even good.
Hmm.
I learned this off of another podcast. Apparently it's real because my boy up north, apparently his friends cop some or something like that.
Yeah.
So it is real. It's like apparently it's not even good bud either. like the THC value in it's like very low compared to what you get in like
Well,
a dispensary or
yeah,
something
because
like
like
that.
I feel like if you do that on like cheaper weed, it's just like you're not fucking up the good stuff.
Well, yeah, even that, and they can sell it for a higher price because
Yeah.
they could say it's flavored.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's gonna taste super good. But then when you smoke it, you're not even gonna be getting high.
You're just gonna be like tasting shit.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna be tasting like oranges or some stupid
Yeah.
shit like that. And I feel like with the legalization of it, it's a good thing in the fact that people that need it medically can get it like much easier because now they don't need to go out and get a medical card. They can just go right to the dispensary up the street and get it because there's studies that show it's really good for recovery
And PTSD. I actually I used to work with a girl at Walmart that had PTSD from the military, and that's what she used it for. She used it to like calm down, relax, which was really cool because at the time I was like I didn't know she was going through that. She was just a chill person, you know what I mean? But seeing how she explained it, I was like, damn, that's just a really cool use for it, like especially since we don't have much help towards like veterans and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is also just another problem in general, I guess.
Well, with the help with veterans, I mean, they do have programs to help them, but they don't necessarily have everything they need mentally.
Yeah.
See, like, the issue, I think, lies more with their mentality, because if you come back from war and you're, like, killing kids, you see your friend get his arm blown off or something, or you got, like, your legs blown off, you're going to have major PTSD, major mental trauma.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will go to things like alcohol just to drown the problem out, to, like, just drown it out, and then they can get even into further of a drug addiction because they're drinking alcohol. If they have, not the best friends, they could come in contact with like perks, or say if they get injured, after coming back from the service, just doing something, they get prescribed Percocets. They could like go right into them, and then when that prescription stops, they go to the people on the street to get them. They're drinking, they're doing pills.
Back to legalization.
Exactly. Like, it's a complicated topic. You know what I mean? Especially like with the legalization of marijuana, because it can help with PTSD. But I really think that these veterans, I think they need something deeper than that, like deeper than just marijuana, because it can stop with like, because I think with PTSD, people get nightmares, even like day nightmares. Like they'll just be doing something. I knew a Vietnam vet. We would go down like a marina. It was very woodsy, and he couldn't sit on the beach in the woods. He'd like start to like freak out and shit because he was like hearing gunshots and stuff. Like he's having flashbacks almost. And I think the problem lies within how we help our veterans mentally. You got to help them mentally, and I think certain drugs could help with that. For instance, Molly, MDMA.
Really, this is not like normal stuff you would hear recommended.
Yeah, well, it's studies show that MDMA is actually really good with helping PTSD and helping reduce the symptoms.
Yeah. Because
it is classified. I believe it's classified as a psychedelic. Either that. I don't think it's a narcotic. I think it's classified as a psychedelic.
Interesting.
And it's different from mushrooms in the fact that it doesn't make you like trip, like see stuff. It's more of like a feeling type of drug. I've never done MDMA.
Yeah.
I've done mushrooms, but like I feel like with MDMA and other substances similar to it, like mushrooms that have more of a mental cognitive effect, I feel like those would be the best researched in legalization. I think mushrooms are legalized in certain city boundaries, or they're decriminalized in certain city boundaries.
Yeah.
Like how weed's decriminalized in the Philadelphia boundary. Decriminalization pretty much means like if you're caught smoking it, you might get like a slap on the wrist, like a ticket.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, what's the difference between it being legal and it being decriminalized? Like, is there because I feel like it's kind of the same thing. I'm not too well versed on the topic, so.
Well, decriminalization is like, say if you get caught with like an ounce of weed, you know what I mean? You're gonna get a ticket, but you're not gonna get
like kind of like just a light reprimand or something. Like.
Exactly.
Okay.
And mushrooms right now are being decriminalized in a lot of city boundaries, and I believe they're legal in the state of Oregon. Like in Oregon itself, like they're like fully legal.
Yeah.
To like use and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And they're also doing research in Oregon with like mushrooms and therapy sessions. So they're having patients come in, do a high dose of mushrooms, and then they're gonna have someone like a therapist per se just sit there with them and kind of guide them through the trip to help them with their trauma.
Kind of like a shaman practice in like Brazil and stuff.
It's pretty much like that, pretty much. And I think that's a good thing. Me personally, I think like the legalization of psychedelics is a powerful. It's a powerful decision.
Oh, it's definitely a decision for sure. Like, that goes against like so much of what we were taught growing up. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
psychedelics, all that acid, all that good stuff, mushrooms. It's just been bad for you. But now like there's research coming out that it might be beneficial. There's health benefits, mental benefits. Just from what you told me, like I've just been fascinated with all this stuff because it's just like it's crazy all this stuff that can just stem from it. I don't know. It's almost like beautiful in a way. That's how I would describe it. You know. But yeah.
Well, I think with mushrooms particularly because I've done mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like the way that they help you, I guess you could say through trips. Like if you're tripping really hard, you could get like a message.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say. Like I remember I was tripping really hard one time. I was 14, and I was 14, and I took these mushrooms, and I don't recommend this. You
Yeah.
know, if you're a young buck, if you're a teenager, don't take mushrooms. Okay, wait till you're like 25.
Yeah.
You know, wait till your brain's developed. But I took these mushrooms and I started tripping out. I started having a bad trip. I was like, I'll tell you how it began. I'm sitting there, I'm like on the floor pretty much, just chilling. I'm like talking to my friend,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden, all these like fractals come into my vision. Like all these fractals, like these colors, and it comes in so hard and so intense that I don't even realize that I'm about to throw up.
Oh shit! Like you don't get like the water feeling in your mouth and nothing.
Well, I was tripped like that. Like I tripped on mushrooms and
Mm-hmm.
realized I was gonna throw up. Like with the but I was tripping so hard that like when I threw up, I just threw up. Like I just threw up right on the floor.
Like just like that.
Yeah, and I was rushing to the bathroom. I threw up right, and everything's kind of normal.
Yeah.
You know, we go outside, and this guy comes over that we know, this older dude, and I was with my dad at the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we're like in the backyard, and I'm just really annoyed with this guy. This guy, Nicky,
Mm-hmm.
we'll call him Nicky, right? He had a stroke. You know, he'd ride his bike around the town I lived in. He'd ride his bike around. He was pretty much like a crackhead. You know what I'm saying? Like,
The local crackhead, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We all got one of those.
Exactly. And like he comes over and like he has like the dab pen and the joint. We're like all smoking, and like it reactivates my trip.
Yeah.
Like I fall knees to the ground. I'm like dry heaving. You know.
So wait, like, are you still on like the same mushrooms?
Yeah, same.
So like you can have two different trips in one.
Well, I was still tripping after I threw up.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't like I was tripping hard. It was
Oh,
like,
so it was kind of like in waves.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I like smoke and I like drop to my knees. I'm like dry heaving at this point, but there's
Yeah.
nothing in my stomach. So like I started spitting up like foam.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty nasty. And I get into like my stairway. It was like there was a door here, stairway, down to the basement down here, and I'm like in the middle. And then there was two back doors, and I'm like in the middle by one of the back doors, and I start really tripping. Like every time I closed my eyes, I would like see this gigantic tornado of like red and black, and it was an ego death. Like what they call that is like an ego death. I was experiencing like ego death, and I remember my friend was there, and he's like looking down at me, and I reach up to him, and I'm like, "Don't do shrooms." And my dad picks me up, brings me into the living room, and I'm sitting there. And all the pictures were taken off the wall that morning.
Yeah.
But I wasn't paying attention to that. And I look up and I'm like, pictures are gone. Like I was tripping.
That's
and
crazy.
My dad was like, yeah, the pictures were taken off the wall this morning. And a couple minutes later, I guess probably some time had passed. My dad goes and lays down in the bedroom. I walk like to the bedroom and I like sit down next to him and I'm still like tripping. And like the words like kill yourself like came out of one ear around my vision and like went back into like another ear. It wasn't like they actually like popped up in front of me. It wasn't like an active hallucination.
Just something like you hear from side to side.
Yeah, it was like a thought, and like the thought was almost visible, kind of.
That's interesting.
But like I thought to myself, I was like, that's not a good idea. It's not going to help any.
Yeah.
So what I said to myself was, if I play this dinosaur game, you know what I'm saying, and I beat this level that I've been trying to beat for like 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go downstairs and do the laundry.
Interesting.
And I'm doing the dinosaur game, and I actually beat the level.
Nice.
I was like, holy shit, right? So I walked downstairs, and I started doing laundry. And as soon as I closed the washer, and I turned on the washing machine, like, it all ended. Like, the whole trip ended. And what I got from that was that I needed to be more of a helpful person to my dad and to the people around me. Because I was very selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I was very, like, all about me. I wasn't willing to like take time out of my day and help someone else. I was just not necessarily a good person, and this trip like taught me that I need to be more on point. Like I need to start doing dishes.
Mm-hmm.
I need to start doing laundry. I need to start doing these simple tasks that would actually help.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't doing it. Like my dad was just doing my laundry for me. I was like very disrespectful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at this point in time, I was trying to be less of an asshole. I was trying to learn
Like just
how
better
to,
yourself.
exactly.
Okay.
Like I was trying to learn how to like talk to someone, and if we were like having a confrontation, just sit there and listen to their side of the story and let them get out what they need to get out, instead of me interrupting and trying to argue back with that person. And this trip kind of like taught me that. It was like, yeah, you need to calm down. You need to just listen. You need to do what you need to do. You know,
that's very interesting. I wonder, like, because like you said, it ended as soon as you pressed the washing machine.
Exactly.
So maybe it's like it could have ended at any point, but like it chose to end you there.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. They went through something like that, especially how it came in waves. I also found that very almost confusing. You know what I mean? Like at least for me, when I get high, it's just kind of like one big arc. You know what I mean? Like I get to the peak and I just kind of fade off. But like the fact that it came back midday, that's definitely something. Like, and you were telling me the other day too how like it could form at least psychedelics could form neural connections in your mind.
Yeah.
So maybe it has something to do like relates to that. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like it definitely does in a way, because like when I was younger, I don't want to ever say that I had OCD because I never was clinically like diagnosed with it, but like I'd like walk around and have to step on certain things like 4 times or do something 4 times where I thought my dad was gonna die, and like when you look that up, that's like really bad OCD or something like that. But when I was taking the mushrooms, because I tripped a lot back when I was living up north with my dad, it kind of got rid of the OCD and the fact that I didn't need to go with it anymore. Like instead, like I had the choice mentally to say no instead of just going with it, because there'd be like an extreme amount of anxiety if I didn't do that. And I did some research on OCD, and a lot of the times people get OCD when they get a lot of trauma as a young person.
Yeah.
If they have like a lot of trauma as a young person, especially loss.
So almost like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, like a coping mechanism. If I flip the switch 4 times, my anxiety is going to go away and I'll be able to chill out. You know what I'm saying? And the mushrooms, from taking them so much, had kind of helped with that. And now I don't need to do anything. Now it cured me pretty much.
So do you think it could have like taught your brain a new way to think, like new way to, I don't want to say cope, but almost like a new way to deal with problems?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know. Do you think like it has a possibility like rework your brain, and if it could, can that be taken to like a higher level? Like, could you develop a different personality off of it, or just like enhance intelligence? This may sound dumb. I don't know. I'm just like,
it's not dumb.
I'm genuinely curious. Like, do you think that might be a possibility?
Well, the personality thing, I'm not totally sure about that. I think it will change your personality 100%, in the fact that if you're I'll give you a story.
Yeah.
And this isn't particularly with mushrooms, but almost all psychedelics rework your neurochemicals. I forget the exact term, but this lady was like going to this barber. You know what I mean? She was homeless, and she'd sit out front there like barber place. You know what I mean? All fucked up and all cracked out and shit. And one day she like went missing, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, what happened to her?" And a couple months later, this girl came into the barber shop, right? And she was talking to the guy, and the guy like didn't even recognize her, and she told the guy her name, and he was like, "Oh my god, it's you." You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Right? And apparently she had gone to South America, and she had done ayahuasca with like a shaman, and it changed her whole entire personality. And 1, she got sober, she got off all the drugs and stuff, and 2, she was cleaned up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you're down in like homelessness, you're not necessarily worried about your appearance. You're not worried about what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, obviously she got sober, and it did change her in a way. You know what I'm saying? It changed on, like, how she, like, acted and what she did. You know what I'm saying? She became, like, a better person, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Don't mind the dogs. We got a bunch of dogs here.
Some big dogs, too.
Yeah, the Kanye Corsos, they're pretty chill. They're mean, but they're chill, especially when you get to know them.
Yeah.
But I feel like when it can make you smarter in a way. A lot of people in Silicon Valley, you know what that is in California?
No.
Silicon Valley is like a valley full of like it's a valley obviously, and people live there. I believe it's in LA or around that area, and it's full of super smart people, like Elon Musk level people, and a lot of people in Silicon Valley. There was an article about it a while back, like years back, when like I think like before COVID, about how these people were microdosing on LSD and mushrooms to help them, like, with their work, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I was gonna say something, but the dog's kind of distracted me. It's so easy to lose your train of thought. Do you think like maybe like since psychedelics can form neural pathways, do you think like they can also help with memory recognition? Because that's all memories are, just like destroying and forming new neural connections. You know what I mean? Like to create new memories, you have to forget new old ones. So
Yeah.
do you think that could like help? Because I also remember the other day when you were in Mr. Lamont, you said you microdosed, right?
Yeah.
And that like helped you, that cleared up your mind. So you think that it makes it easier to form memories and
Yeah.
remember old ones.
Well, I think like people with Alzheimer's and dementia, they're doing research on microdosing like psychedelic mushrooms and
Mm-hmm.
lion's mane mushrooms. Lion's mane are not psychedelic mushrooms. They are a form of just pretty much edible mushrooms. I believe they grow in the Americas.
Yeah.
They grow on rotten wood, and it shows that the chemicals they release do regrow neurons, and psychedelic mushrooms also regrow neurons. And they're
Mm-hmm.
giving Alzheimer's patients and dementia patients a cocktail of both of these mushrooms
Mm-hmm.
in a microdose form with the psychedelic ones.
Yeah.
And they're taking them, and it shows that it's slowing down the process of dementia. Because
Really?
dementia and Alzheimer's, it's just like the neurons in your brain are getting destroyed. Your brain's pretty much turning to mush.
Yeah.
Right? But since you're growing new neurons, it kind of like slows it down. It doesn't cure it, but it slows it down like a lot.
Interesting. So it's like, hmm. So when you say it like delays it, does it like I don't know how to like word this question. When you say it delays it, does it like well it said you said it forms new ones, right?
Yeah.
So it's like is it almost like I don't know, almost like doping your brain in a way? Like you know how like steroids like dope your muscles to
Yeah.
create more muscle. It's almost like doing that to your brain. Do you think?
In a way, I mean, because it's releasing serotonin in your brain and it's forming these new neuroconnections. I don't know exactly how it does it, but since it's forming new neuroconnections in your brain, I guess you could say it's almost like doping your brain.
Yeah.
You're like growing new parts of your brain almost, or you're connecting neurons that weren't connected at first. So in a way, yes, but also in a way, no, because I know with like steroids, it mimics testosterone and it causes testosterone to get released in your body,
Yeah.
which obviously causes more muscle growth if you work out and denser bones.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess you could say in a way it's very similar. And also with like the mushrooms and stuff like that, they also like help with ADHD and other mental disabilities and depression, because when you have like ADHD, I think it's like when too many neurons are connected
Really?
and certain ones are unconnected, so you get like a boost in dopamine,
Mm-hmm.
or like their dopamine levels. This was explained to me by someone who has ADHD, so
Yeah.
I could be getting the definition wrong, but he said like naturally his dopamine is lower than other people's unless he's doing something that he's interested in where it spikes.
Hmm.
And like ADHD is like a tuning out. Like you tune out because when you're so like this is just stuff that I've heard. I don't know if this is 100% true.
Yeah.
But ADHD comes from apparently when an infant experiences a lot of trauma, they have to tune out because they can't run from the trauma. They can't avoid it. They're an infant. They're
Mhm.
young, so they're there. So the only choice they have is to distract themselves from the trauma. And then because it's a coping mechanism
Yeah.
apparently. And as you grow older, it becomes negative because when something's going on that you don't like or you don't want to do, your brain tunes out, and it's really hard to pay attention to that. But then
And you
when
try to find something else you're interested in the moment.
yeah,
Okay.
and that's why people fidget. You know what I mean? That's why apparently they fidget, or they can't study, or they can't pay attention in school because they're just tuning out.
Yeah.
And with mushrooms, it will kind of balance out the neurons in their brain. It'll kind of grow the pathways that are needed to make the brain normal in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with OCD, it's like I'm not totally positive on OCD, but I think it's similar in the fact that certain neurons aren't connected that should be connected because of the trauma that person in particular experienced at such a young age. It kind of destroyed those connections, or those connections never formed
Mm-hmm.
because it happened when they were young. And as a result, when they're older, they have these problems like OCD or ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently ADHD is like you can give it to your kid. Like if you have it, you can pass it on to your
Yeah.
kid. but the person that I was listening to doesn't necessarily believe that, you know. And with the mushrooms, it'll balance it all out. It'll
Yeah.
like make those neurons connect and it'll balance it all out pretty much. And the thing with depression is, I think when you're depressed, you have high amounts of serotonin
Mm-hmm.
and low amounts of dopamine. You have high amounts of that stress hormone, so you're constantly stressed, or you're constantly, like with anxiety, you have constant amounts of anxiety.
Yeah.
You're constantly stressed. And with low dopamine, you're not happy. You just want to sleep. You don't have any motivation to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's where the mushrooms come in, and they can help you by connecting those neurons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And from our conversation so far, it's like mushrooms just seem to be like this, almost like a perfect just cure for everything. But are there like any major side effects from like just trying to take some? You know what I mean? Like, especially for like the common man. You know what I mean? Someone who's not really doesn't really know much about it. Is there like any risks involved with that might come across? Like maybe like you said that you had an ego death. Is that like necessarily a bad thing or?
Yeah, it can be a very bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have a bad trip, when you actually have a bad trip on a psychedelic, it's considered psychosis in a way.
Really?
Yeah, because when psychosis happens, I knew someone in school who had gone to a psychotic like episode, like he had like psychosis, and it's like when you disconnect from reality. The way he described it was like disconnecting from all of reality. And when you trip on psychedelics and you can have a bad trip, you can enter a form of psychosis, and it can be negative. It can cause trauma to the brain because of how bad the trip is. It can cause trauma. That's why it's suggested that you have a trip sitter, because unless you're very well versed in psychedelics and you know how they work, and you're like a psychonaut, which is like an astronaut, you know what I mean? You go on like trips into whatever. Unless you're very well, even someone who's well versed, they can still have a bad trip, but they know how to handle it more so than the average guy. And if the average guy takes like a lot of acid or a lot of mushrooms and trips out and has a bad trip, it can be very negative. It can be very bad for that person. It can cause brain trauma. It could take months to recover from it because of like the stuff you see and the stuff you feel if you're having a bad trip. But it can also be beneficial. Like there's a saying, no trip is a bad trip. That's not necessarily true. I mean, you could have a bad trip, learn nothing from it, and enter psychosis.
Yeah, but that's just like a risk with everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't have everything and too much.
Yeah. And I'm not sure totally on the studies done, but I know that if you're a bipolar individual, the likelihood you're gonna have a bad trip is higher, and that probably has to do with like mood swings.
Yeah.
So if you can swing from one good mood to one bad mood, you could probably swing from a bad trip to a good trip a lot easier than the average person if you take psychedelics. And I know schizophrenic, like people with schizophrenia, they're not necessarily supposed to take psychedelics.
Yeah, because I feel like that would just like double down what they see.
Exactly, what they feel, what they see, because they're already kind of tripping.
Yeah.
I've heard that like taking psychedelics is like entering a form of schizophrenia, but it's not all negative. Like how some people have schizophrenia and they don't always see negative hallucinations.
Yeah.
They don't always see something that's like negative. But when I think about it like this, like I want to tell the viewers, like Datura, for instance, is a delirium. Datura is not a psychedelic. It's a type of flower. People confuse it for a psychedelic with its effects. But when someone takes Datura, they will legitimately think they're seeing like Spider-Man or like another person in the room. They'll think they're friends in the room with them, but no one's actually there.
Yeah.
And when you compare Datura to someone who's in a schizophrenic state, it's actually like scarily similar. And I just realized that just now talking about like I just had the realization of it, like the thought of it. So potentially, the reason why people with schizophrenia shouldn't take psychedelics, like you said, is it could double down on their hallucinations. But to me, the average person with schizophrenia isn't like tripping all the time. Because when you're tripping, you're not seeing like Spider-Man walking through the room. You're seeing like fractals, like actual like crazy shit. You know, you could see that it's different from reality. But whereas someone who takes Datura, everything's normal, but they're like seeing shit that isn't real. Like they're seeing like wraiths, like you know, like the things in Lord of the Rings.
That could be scary.
Yeah,
that could be real scary.
And I feel like that goes on to the topic that some people want to legalize all drugs. Like there's we were talking about this before the podcast.
Yeah.
And just getting into it now because there are certain drugs that I don't think should ever be legal.
Yeah, 100%. Like I feel like a big one is like fentanyl, heroin, all like major drugs that can just outright kill you if too much doses taken. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
At least with mushrooms, you take too much, you're just gonna have like maybe a bad trip. Weed, you just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Alcohol, that's already legal, so you don't really have to talk about that. But just minor drugs like that just really people just take to get high with. You know what I mean? That's not bad. But like heroin, fentanyl, that can actually just screw you over just in one take. So
Yeah.
even cocaine, I don't even think is that bad. Just because I've heard a lot of people, I know some people that take it, and they're not addicted to it. They just take it because to them it's a party drug. You know what I mean? You take like one sniff, and that's just like you're feeling good for the night.
Yeah.
So even then, I don't feel like that's necessarily something that needs to be like criminalized. If anything, you know what I mean? It's just a party drug. People take it just to have fun, but you can get addicted to it. But that's with any drug, really. But yeah, like you said, major drugs that can just outright kill you if too much is taken, like fentanyl, heroin. I'm sure there's others I just can't think of at the moment. But yeah.
Well, I feel like with the legalization of certain drugs, like cocaine, for instance, is used as an example. It's a party drug, just like alcohol. It's a party drug. You know what I'm saying? You do it when you're partying. But then there's certain individuals who have an addictive personality.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to the individual and how we're taught. Because, like, because we have a perfect example, alcohol. Cocaine and alcohol. They're very similar. On the addiction level, they're actually very similar. They're very close, like, because there's a scale of how bad certain drugs are with, like, what it does to your body and how addictive it is and what it can lead you down to.
Yeah.
And cocaine and alcohol are, like, right there. They're, like, pretty much in the same bucket.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So, with that, people, like, individuals aren't really taught that, like for instance, my uncle, when he first went into Alcoholics Anonymous, so like, and into a rehab, they were like, do you get drunk on your birthday?
Yeah.
He was like, of course. You know what I'm saying? And to him, that was just like, yeah, you're getting drunk on your birthday, right?
Yeah.
But they were like, no, that's a sign you're an alcoholic.
How so?
Because when, like, alcoholics have to drink to get drunk.
Yeah.
They can't just drink to have, like, a good time. They have to drink to get drunk. Like, once they start drinking, they need to get drunk.
I got you.
And I kind of had that same problem. When I was living up north and I was drinking, I couldn't just drink. I had to drink to get drunk. And people don't realize that that's a sign that you could be, like, an alcoholic, that you can have an addictive personality.
Yeah.
And say if you're going to party, like, say if you're at college, right? And you're going to parties every weekend, you're getting fucked up, you're getting smashed, like most people do in college.
Yeah.
They're doing it to have fun. But, like, say if you have an addictive personality, you come across that cocaine, oh my God, that's really nice. There's no party one day, you're just sitting in your dorm room chilling, you're like, crack a couple beers right now.
Yeah.
Class is over, right? And you call up the person that was at the party that had the cocaine, call them up, and you're like, yeah, let me get some coke, right? You start doing it every day, you start drinking every day, you start doing coke every day.
Almost like kind of just chasing that feeling.
Exactly, chasing the high.
Yeah.
You chase that first time, pretty much. And with me, with weed, like, I remember when I first smoked weed, I was, like, tripping. And it wasn't necessarily the best either.
Yeah.
It was kind of, like, fucked up. Wandering around Croydon and shit. My friend was, like, dragging me around. He was, like, too high. You know what I mean? We went back to one of my friend's houses. I woke up. It wasn't a good experience. But because I have an addictive personality, I kept chasing that until, like, probably around 6 or 7 months later, I was smoking every day. And I smoked every day for, like, 2 years.
Yeah. I know with me personally, when I first smoked weed, I was just thrown right into a hotbox. Yeah. And that was a crazy experience. Like, I remember when it first kicked in, like, after the first couple of puffs, I was like, this ain't nothing, you know what I mean? I'm just chilling, just chilling with the boys. We had music on, but then all of a sudden it just smacked, and I'm like, whoa, giggling and shit. Yeah. It was a crazy feeling for real. But, kind of going off that, I have like, sort of a question. So we all know how alcohol is illegal. Do you think, like, making it legal at a younger age will help with the responsibility of it? Because I was thinking the other day about how other countries, they have lower age drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Lower drinking laws.
Exactly. And I forget which country it was, but like their explanation was like, if you introduce it at a younger age, that you grow more responsible. You have more time to be responsible with it. You're not trying to get it out of the legal eye. You know what I mean? It's not a forbidden fruit, so to say.
Yeah.
It's something that you can grow with, experience. Yeah. And I feel like to some degree introducing it at a younger age will help with that, you know what I mean? But what's your thoughts on that? Not to like derail the previous conversation. I don't know if that.
No. It's like it has to do with it because like at a younger age, I don't know.
No. I'm not talking about like 12 or 14.
Yeah, like 18.
Yeah.
Like 18. Like the only issue that I have with it is like, so say society in America right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that are in high school and shit, if they're like, we're gonna drink, we're gonna drink.
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of irresponsible people. I know in other countries, it's like
The culture's different.
the culture is different. The people there are a little bit more responsible. I feel like America is full of irresponsible people.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know that's a big generalization, but like compare us to like Italy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe if you're living in Italy, you'll be like, what are you talking about? It's a little bit different. But
Yeah.
no, like it just, you could tell like the difference in respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And when people don't respect alcohol, they end up drinking and driving. And I think if you were to make it legal at a younger age, I think it would be like people will become like they get introduced to it. You know what I mean? They grow up more responsibly with it probably. But then you have certain individuals who will be like drinking and driving at 18.
Yeah.
You know, just doing stupid shit. So it's like it's a double-edged sword, like you said in the last podcast with social media. It's a double-edged sword on both ends.
Yeah.
Like drinking in general, it's a highly addictive substance. Alcohol in general, it's highly addictive. If you drink too much of it, you're fucked up. You know,
Yeah, I experienced that recently too. Like, there's a certain point to where you're just buzzed, and then just it's almost like a roller coaster. You know what I mean? Like drinking, like if you're just sipping on something, it's like you're going up the ramp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like you take that one last shot, and it's just like
you're down.
You're going crazy. like it was definitely a weird feeling, to say the least. Especially just for my first time, it was something. And I wouldn't say I have an addictive personality at all, but it is. I could definitely feel that it could be addictive, because like even now sometimes I'll just like crave the taste of Coke and rum.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never had that before. It's definitely something that I could see people getting addicted to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing it with like just a group of friends, it's highly addictive just as a feeling. You know what I mean? You're tipsy. You know, you have a lot more confidence. You can go out more. You could do more. You could do things that you want to be, that you wouldn't normally be able to. Maybe that's like going into like a false sense of confidence. You know what I mean? A false sense of self. Maybe people like who are addicted to it, just they feel better when they are. You know what I mean? Not necessarily in like a high sense, but more of a I have the confidence to do such stuff. Like I have the confidence to go up and talk to a girl at a party. You know what I mean? Like whereas before, I was just, you were just in the corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like liquid courage, that's saying how alcohol is just liquid courage.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like some people chase that feeling instead of being high, almost like a confidence boost.
People definitely do. When I go to meetings, I go to AA meetings, and I hear that a lot. Is like
Really?
People that start drinking, they like drinking, and they also like the feeling that it gives, and the fact that it gives them confidence. It almost lets them come out of their shell, because they're not necessarily worried about what people think about them anymore.
Yeah.
They like it. They like the false sense of confidence. They like that false, haze. You know what I'm saying? That, I forget the word, man. Damn. Like that fucking, I'm trying to say haze, but like that mirage. You know what I mean? Like, it's they crave that feeling because they can come out of themselves. They can be who they quote unquote are. You know what I'm saying? When in all reality, you should be that when
who
you're
they think
sober.
they might be.
Yeah, who they think they might be. You know what I'm saying? It kind of gives them an ego boost. You know what I mean? And when you start doing that at like a young age, like say if you were 18 and you didn't do it responsibly, and you started doing that at a young age, you could be on the road to being an alcoholic. You know what I'm saying? Because you can also become an alcoholic just like you can become a drug addict just through doing it every single day consistently. Because it's not only like doing it every day gets you addicted, it's also the vibe of it. Like chilling out with the boys and smoking with the boys is a vibe.
So it's like chasing a fantasy.
Exactly. It's literally what it is you're chasing. Yeah, you're chasing like chilling with the boys. You're chasing that relaxation, like that. Like what? I noticed like when my bad cutting you off.
No, you're good.
I noticed like sometimes I'll crave the feelings of smoke when I'm not doing anything. Like say if I finish something up, right? And I know I have stuff to do, but I don't feel like doing it at this moment. If you smoke like weed, it makes you just not care about that. Or if you drink, it'll kind of, you're high. So you kind of forget about that. Like it gives you that false sense of confidence. It also gives you a false sense of everything's all right. It gives you like that. Okay, everything's cool. I'm chilling now. I can relax. I don't have to do that at this moment. The urgency isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
You're just chilling. You know. You're just like, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And going off that, I had this friend who has recently just been battling their addiction with like nicotine and weed and stuff. and he's 6 months clean of nicotine and 3 months clean of weed.
Yeah.
And he was telling me how he feels like reborn almost.
Yeah.
Like his mind is clear. He has like a lot of negative thoughts, but he's learning how to deal with that instead of like resorting to smoking.
Yeah.
And it was telling me about how when he was doing like you said day to day, it was a routine. A routine. It was something he could expect. It was something that he could just like call up a boy and be like, "Hey, let's do this." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like when he stopped, it was scary to him, which was very interesting because like he would explain how like he has insomnia now, but he would just have these random thoughts, you know what I mean, that would come into his mind, and now he's like learning to embrace them.
Yeah.
And when he smoked, he would just like you said, it would like null his emotions. It would just force them out of his mind. And now that he's not, it's really crazy to see. I guess I don't know how to really put it into words. I'm not good with words.
Well, living sober, like when you're getting high every day, or you're drinking every day. At least with me, when I smoked every day, it was like you said, it's an expected thing. You know that at the end of the day, you can smoke a joint and you can just chill.
Yeah, you can get high. You know what I mean? Just enjoy yourself.
Exactly. Forget about all your problems. You know what I mean? Chilling now. You know, and it doesn't allow you to sit with yourself, like you said. It nulled his emotions. It like them thoughts that would normally come in, those negative thoughts, those negative emotions that would come in, went away when he'd smoked.
Yeah.
But now that once you stop smoking, all that shit's gonna come in, and you need to learn how to cope with that. And I feel like that's why living sober is a good thing. You know, I don't think drinking or smoking weed is necessarily bad.
Yeah.
What's bad is doing it every day.
Exactly. Smoking and drinking, it's like party. You know what I mean? You just do it. You do it once every now and then, just to not necessarily feel something, but just like feel something different.
Yeah.
It's not to make it a routine, but just like to make it unexpected.
Yeah.
Kind of like swap the norm, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So that's how I would treat that. But like you said, being sober, you have to be sober in order to truly enjoy properly, at least, drugs and stuff. You know what I mean? Like you have to know what you want out of an experience, like a psychedelic weed. You know what I mean? You have to know what you want to expect. In my opinion, that's what it that's what it means to be truly responsible with a drug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To understand, like, oh, I'm doing this for this effect, not just to do it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought here.
Well, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, because when you start doing a drug every day, when you start smoking weed every day, drinking every day, you're going to develop a tolerance. Like, for instance, when you smoke weed and you're smoking every single day, and this, like, most smokers probably would agree with me when they hear this, is like, you have a tolerance. It doesn't hit you like it did when you first smoked. When you first smoke with no tolerance, you're fucking stoned.
Yeah.
You're stoned out of this world.
I know.
You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't smoke every day. So
I greened out, bro. I was passed out on the bed.
Exactly.
I had to like get walked to my house. It was crazy.
And that's, you can actually enjoy that experience. It's
Yeah.
enjoyable. But then when you smoke weed every single day, it's like drinking a cup of coffee. It's like smoking a cigarette.
I can't imagine that. That's crazy to me. Someone who's like just never been addicted to something like that, just to have that as an everyday occurrence. Maybe it's just also because it's a little bit harder for me to obtain. That might also be a reason that I'm not so. I don't want to say addicted, but I don't do it as often.
Yeah.
It's like I don't go on my way to obtain it. But it's just the feeling it gives me. It's like I can't imagine just doing it every day. My mind just feels so clouded by just not even just nothing. It's clouded by nothing, which is crazy. You know what I mean? Like I'm so used to like these thoughts running through my mind that to the thought of just having just not being there. You know what I mean? Just almost walking around like a zombie every day. It's maybe because I haven't experienced it. I just can't understand it.
Well, when you smoke a lot of weed, you don't get the same high that you do when you like smoke weed. It's like a totally, like, you still get stoned, you know, especially if you take like a couple bong rips, you smoke a couple bong packs, maybe, you know, a blunt or two, you know what I'm saying? You're still gonna get stoned, but you're not gonna be like say if you smoked weed right now, you'd be like, you wouldn't be able to go out and work.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to drive, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then when you smoke weed every day, it's like you're driving like normal. It's just like everything's like normal. You're almost like sober. Like I said, it's like you're smoking a cigarette almost. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
It just becomes like your tolerance gets so high for it. And same thing with drinking. But the problem is, if you have an addictive personality, you're gonna smoke like an ounce of weed in 3 days, like me and my family did, because you're chasing that high. So you have to smoke so much weed to get so high.
Yeah.
Same thing with drinking, except you have to drink so much to get to that point of drunkenness. You know what I mean? And the thing is, with being drunk, like, you could say if you have a tolerance to weed, you smoke a lot of weed, you're only going to get so stoned.
Yeah.
You're only going to get so high at that point.
Before you like just pass out.
Not even. Like, you won't even get to that point of passing out.
Really?
Yeah, you're just like super stoned, and it's just like, you know, you're chilling. But when you get drunk, even if you have a tolerance to it, you're drunk. Like you won't be able to drive. That's like the difference.
So like with weed, it levels out at a point.
At a point, yeah. Like I remember trying to like I remember when I was smoking every day, I would try and get high like I did when I was younger. Wouldn't work. Wouldn't work at all.
That's actually crazy.
Even if I smoked like 10 blunts, which I have in one night with my boys, and it doesn't work.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah. It doesn't work anymore. It becomes like normal. It becomes just there. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that goes beyond like the point of your body building a tolerance. Do you think it's like more like a mental thing?
Yeah, 100%. It's a mental thing. I mean, you got to think when you're smoking every day like that for more than a year, you literally have THC in your brain and in your bloodstream 24/7.
Yeah.
Like
you're basically in a constant state of highness.
Yeah, literally, you're just constantly high, so it just becomes normal.
So like, I guess if you're constantly high, trying to get higher would be harder, huh?
Exactly.
That's crazy to hear though. Just as someone, I guess, who's just been sober all his life.
Well, yeah, I don't suggest it. I don't suggest smoking.
I don't think I will.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's not good, man, and it takes you, like your friend said, it takes you away from yourself. It takes you out of that, out of being who you truly are. That's why I think sobriety, like, I think people should take psychedelics. I think you should smoke weed just to experience another form of consciousness.
Yeah, try everything once.
Exactly, except heroin.
Yeah, try things that may be beneficial. I don't think there's anything beneficial other than getting high with like heroin or fent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But try everything once. You know, just be careful.
Be responsible.
Be responsible, especially with psychedelics. The reason I say especially with psychedelics is because it'll make you think differently about the world. If you take mushrooms, dude, you take a high dose of mushrooms with like a trip sitter or something like that, you're not thinking the same like you did the day before. You're going to be like, holy shit, this world has a lot more than I thought it did. You know, especially if you do like some ayahuasca or some DMT and you fucking speak to like some entity in another dimension or some stupid shit. You know what I mean? You're going to be like, damn, that's why I recommend stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely like, not to cut you off or anything, but like I definitely want to try it just out of curiosity, if anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just I kind of want to experience that feeling because I feel like that's only you can explain it so well, but you don't really understand it until you see it yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That I feel like that's coming to what you're saying. Just at least just try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then again, sobriety is the way.
Yeah. You know always. You know what I mean? That's just the natural state of being.
Exactly.
You can never beat that.
Exactly. I'm gonna grab my water real quick. Hold on. I'm thirsty. Man. I'm doing all this talking.
We'll edit this out.
Yeah.
Is it still going? You might as well check.
Going.
All right.
Water tastes like garlic. I was eating gravy and I was drinking this water earlier.
But anyway, kind of to come back to my friend and like segue into the next part, he was also telling me about how like it was harder to form deeper bonds with people when you're like sober or not sober, but like when you're like high all the time like that. It's almost like how he was saying is like I don't know how to put it in his words. I guess it was like there was just this emotional wall that was just always there that he couldn't break through when he was just constantly high, constantly like just doing these things. You know what I mean? And I guess to him it was harder to break down these walls when, like I said, you're just constantly high. It's like you can't think about it as much, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's how I understood it at least. And like with me moving schools and stuff, I guess I personally never learned how to deepen bonds, and now I'm starting to learn with like just you know what I mean, just talking to you and stuff, like everything. It's just, I feel like it's all just connected, you know what I mean? Like sobriety, getting high and drunk all the time. It's just weird how all these things can come together and just like interject in each other, if that makes sense, you know?
Well, I feel like when you're forming a relationship with another human being, you have to be completely honest with yourself. You know, when you're getting high every day, you're not really honest with yourself, especially if you don't want to get high and you're still getting high. You're not being honest with yourself. Like with nicotine addiction, I don't want to be smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
You know, that's like a nightmare. You know what I'm saying? Especially for me. But when you're addicted to something, you're not being 100% with yourself. You're not committing or promising yourself anything. You know, you're just going with the addiction. And I think I never had the problem deepening relationships while I was smoking weed. I was always chill, like everyone. But I think when you're not fully connected with yourself, you're not going to be able to fully connect with another individual.
Yeah, like how can you love someone if you don't love yourself type shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think it has to do with more of a spiritual side of things. Like when you're drinking or smoking every day and you're not facing your issues, you're not facing your problems like you should be, you're not facing yourself in a way. And if you're not facing yourself, your own consciousness, how could you be even in jive like driving with your soul?
Yeah.
You know, when you jive with other people, you jive with your soul too. You know what I'm saying? You jive with their souls. And if you're not connected to your soul deep down, how could you be connected with other individuals? And I think everyone to a point, subconsciously, this is just my opinion, but I think we are connected. You know, everyone's connected, and you can feel when someone else isn't 100%. They're not like 100% of themselves.
So do you think it was more of like an emotional immaturity than the drug itself, or maybe like the drug amplified that emotional immaturity? You think?
I think the drugs will. I think, because everyone has emotional immaturity at some points.
Well, obviously we're young adults.
Exactly. And when you start smoking at a young age, that can amplify it. That can amplify how you feel towards other individuals. You know, I remember when I was smoking every day and I'd be in school in 10th grade in particular. This really wasn't a thing in 9th grade.
Yeah.
But maybe just from my insecurities, you know, I would smoke. I'd get into school and I'd be paranoid. I'd be paranoid of what other people thought of me. Like, I would literally be paranoid of what others thought of me. Like, it would worry me. It made me more self-conscious, because I realized it might have had to do with me moving out of my circumstances and down to Delaware and then getting sober, but I was nowhere near as self-conscious when I was sober, when I was down here. But even in 9th grade, when I was smoking every day, I still had a very, I guess you could say, rough home life, but I wasn't insecure. So I think it had to do with potentially the home life and smoking weed. It amplified that insecurity when I would get high. It would like amplify it in a way.
Yeah.
And like how I'd feel about other people and how those people thought of me or felt about me. You know? And with life in general, relationships with other people are very important. And when you feel a certain way or you're thinking a certain way about individuals, it can lessen that relationship.
Yeah.
You know, if you're always self-conscious about what others think of you, you might distance yourself from certain people because you're self-conscious about what they think of you. You know, when I'm hanging out with someone like you, you're very like, you know what I mean, you got your shit in order. I gotta think, you know, I gotta have my shit in order too. You know what I'm saying? But when you're super self-conscious, when you're super, you know, embarrassed of yourself, or you don't like yourself, and you're getting high on top of that, not even facing yourself, it makes it very hard for you to come out of your shell and be friends with certain individuals.
Yeah.
You know, and drinking can do the opposite. If you drink a lot every single day, you're not going to get that confidence boost anymore. And then you start fucking up in life. You start doing wrong shit. You know what I'm saying? You start, you know, arguing with your wife, or like beating the shit out of people in bars because you're angry. Your anger issues are coming out when you get drunk. You're going to become isolated. You're going to isolate yourself. That's a big thing in sobriety, is don't isolate yourself. You know, be with other people. When you drink a lot and smoke a lot, and it becomes such an issue, you get to the point where you want to smoke alone, or you want to drink alone. Hanging with the boys has turned into hanging with yourself, but not really hanging with yourself.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there getting high to pass the time, you know?
Yeah, get into a routine, like something you could expect.
Yeah.
To go back to what we were talking about earlier. Yeah. That's a really good take on it. That whole segment was just beautifully spoken by you, by the way. I just wanted to say that. Like, to go back to like the in school stuff, you know what I mean, self-consciousness, like that was my big thing growing up, you know what I mean. I would always move and not be in the best situations in life. So when I went to school and made friends, you know what I mean, I was always putting up a front, you know what I mean, like, oh, I had the newest console, you know, I was playing these games. But in reality, I was just on my tablet at home, just watching people play, just gleaning information from it, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just lying about myself, just try to, I don't know, blend in, I guess would be the best term. That's actually exactly how I would put it. I would just try to blend in with like whatever the most popular thing was, and that worked for a while. You know, I made friends, but it was always superficial. I didn't know how to really explain myself. I was too embarrassed. You know what I mean? I was homeless for a while. I would just move from house to house. My houses were always just in shit condition. I was always too embarrassed to like invite friends over. My closest friend before like high school was in elementary school, like around 4th grade. His name was Nicholas. I still remember him. I was just a bad friend to him, but like he always invited me over to his house, and it was just one of my closest friends. And throughout middle school, I just lost contact with him because I was just like, nah, I don't want to be friends with him. I don't even know why. I think I was just because I was embarrassed in my home life. You know what I mean? Constantly moving, all that good stuff. But And what really like kind of set it in for me was COVID. When COVID happened, you know what I mean? Like then I was just truly alone. I was just like with my family, my sister, my stepdad, which was just he was just abusive. You know what I mean? And then my mom, and we were just in this shitty house, just fucking all cramped together, and it's just like that just steeped my emotional development. Then I came back to high school. For my sophomore year, I was just completely just shut down basically. But then I met my best friend Chris. He just got me out of my shell, got me back to my elementary school days. I was actually having fun with people. I was making connections, and then that just snowballed into what I am today. You know what I mean? I'm deepening my friendships. I'm just so happy about. You know what I mean? I'm trying to connect with like not older people, like older friends I knew, and it's amazing how just like one person can do that. You know what I mean? Like Chris, I can credit all this to him. You know what I mean? Like who I am today is just simply because he just said I just asked him like where do I turn this in. He's like over there, and he just started talking to me. He forced his way into my life, and I can just appreciate him that for it. And I feel like to take it back to like the drugs and stuff. I feel like if I had those, my development would have been delayed by a significant amount. Like my home life at the time when I was like go through COVID and all this stuff, it was just heavily involved with weed. Like my stepdad, he would smoke, he would drink almost every day. My mom would smoke almost every now and then, not as much, but everyone I was around was just involved with the drugs and stuff, and it was just it's actually a wonder I never got into it myself. I don't know. I guess I was too scared to. I was just stuck in my room, you know. And that's kind of a long tangent. I guess I just wanted to get off my chest in a way, you know.
Yeah.
But just kind of lay myself to the topics, I guess.
Were you lonely at any points before you met Chris?
Yeah, I was just all like, in my pretty much my entire sophomore year, I didn't do any school activities. I went to school, went home, and at the time, actually in my sophomore year, I was living on top of a cafe, so can't really have any. We're not supposed to be there, so you can't really have anybody up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't have anybody over, so when Chris came into my life, it was just like a fresh start. You know what I mean? I went to his lunch table. You know, I met a whole bunch of amazing people that I can genuinely call my friends and stuff. And so, like I said, it just snowballed. Then I met you in gym class. You know, we had a great time. We
Yeah.
bonded, and now we're like a couple months after school, we like just started hanging out and stuff,
Yeah.
going to the gym. It's just been beautiful, man. Life has just
Yeah.
been great to me. It's just I really don't even know what I did to deserve it. I was just stuck in my room all my life. So I don't know.
You
Just
did something for sure.
I guess I did, right?
Now, do you think that I don't know what I was gonna say. I lost it. I lost it.
I've been doing that all night. Don't worry.
Yeah. Like throughout COVID, do you think that I guess to form another topic, do you think that destroyed relationships for people?
If you didn't have a good relationship already, like if
Yeah.
if a relationship was in its budding stage, yeah, it just got destroyed. That's how it was for me, and I feel like that's how it was for a lot of people. And but if you had a deep relationship, like if you already hung out a lot, you know, played the game a lot, I feel like that would have stayed strong through it, especially with like technology and stuff nowadays. But if you were just like trying to get to know someone, no, unless you were I guess spearheading for it, it was just destroyed. That's what happened to me. You know what I mean? Like all my friends that I just never got to know on a deeper level, never actually tried to, I just lied to them pretty much. Yeah, I lost all them. I don't talk to them no more, and I would like to get to know them more now, but I don't have a way to. You know what I mean?
Contact them.
Yeah, I don't have a way to contact them right now. I probably could look him up, but I just haven't gotten around to it, which I'm pretty sure I will do here soon. Now that I'm talking about it, now I'm thinking about it, but yeah, COVID just, at least for me, it fucked up a lot of shit. It fucked up the financial situation at home, my social life, my emotional development, my grades even, because like I just stopped caring about school. I'm at home. What are they gonna do? Stop me?
Yeah.
And I feel like the worst part about it is like they kind of perpetuated that movement. Like I pretty much didn't attend any classes, and I still passed with like A's.
Yeah.
I don't even know how. It was just it was a crazy time in our lives. You know what I mean? It was literally just a plague.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, especially me, it just like fucked so much shit up.
Yeah.
And like I said, in that time, I could have easily felt substance abuse. Like it was just right there, laying in front of me. Like we literally grew weed in our house. So at any time I could have, and then I guess that was stronger of me that I didn't.
You're lucky, man. You're
Yeah.
good.
And I can't say the same for my sister. My sister's I'm proud of what she's becoming, but she definitely had a worse time than me. You know what I mean? Like because she was younger than me. I was like maybe 14 to 15 that I was going through all this, and she was like 11, 12 ish. So
Did she start smoking?
yeah, she started smoking. She's still smoking, but she's
I
got.
didn't even know you had a sister.
I have 4 other siblings.
I know you. Damn.
Yeah,
Damn.
I have my youngest sister that I'm talking about. She lived with me up until like I want to say I was in like ninth grade ish, cause she moved down to Florida with my family to get away from all the stuff. I had the same option, but I was like I want to stay with my mom. Make sure she's all right, cause I was the way we grew up. I was the older sibling,
Yeah.
but I have 3 older ones. Their names, damn, Caitlin, Curtis, and Diana. I forgot. I don't see them that often. I hardly even know Diana and Curtis. But Kaylin, I'm a little closer with. I don't talk to her as much as I should or as much as I want
Is
to.
that your younger sister?
No, that's my older sister. My younger sister, she's Emily.
Gotcha.
She's the one down in Florida. But everybody else is like in
I
Alabama, North Carolina,
got
southern states.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we my 3 oldest ones, they grew up separate from me and my youngest. Like me and Emily, we grew up in Delaware all our lives. They grew up in Alabama, North Carolina. They like different states apart. And that's just because of how my mom ended up. Like we have different dads. Like I have a separate dad from all of them. I think Curtis and Diana have the same dad, and then Curtis, Diana, and Caitlin have the same dad. But me and Emily have separate dads.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like. What was the original question again? I forgot.
I don't even know. But do you think when you're forming relationships with other people, like your siblings,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, do you think it's similar to forming a relationship with a friend? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What was the finish it?
So like, when you form a relationship with a friend, you're just meeting them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're just meeting them. You're already like grown up. Say you're like 4 or 5. You know what I'm saying? You're just meeting them. You're shaking hands. You know what I'm saying? Now, do you think when you form a relationship with a sibling, you think it's different, especially from birth?
I think it's different in the fact that you've known each other your entire life, but not different in the fact that you have to actively get to know the person. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like having a good relationship with your parental figure. You know what I mean? Like yeah, they're responsible for you, but at the end of the day, you're still different humans. You're still different beings. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you still have to go through that effort to build that bond. And I'm experiencing that with my mom here too. Like I'm just at the moment, I'm not trying to form that connection with her. You know what I mean? It's just like we're just humans at the end of the day. Like at the end of the day, we're just even though we're family, we're connected by blood. We're different people. You have to understand that, and there's a mutual respect there that you just have to understand. And same thing with siblings and to a certain extent friends. Like you can become almost brothers with another person that's not even blood related. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's just like the want to communicate and connect with people. I feel like that's just the foundation of a relationship. You know what I mean? You have to actually want that person in your life because I'm sure you've heard stories about people like just excommunicating family members.
Yeah.
And like obviously you still love them because you grew up with them, but still, you have different wants. You have different perspectives, and they just don't align. And you just have to get that person out of your life sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, just the want and connection. That's really what everything matters. It doesn't matter if you're blood related, non blood related. As long as you just have the want to get to know a person, that's really all it is.
I definitely feel that. Like I remember I was living up north, and I did not see. Like I wanted to speak to my aunt and uncle. Sometimes I think about it, but my uncle would always kind of bring reality right into my face. You know what I'm saying? And I did not want to face reality. So like, if my uncle was calling me, I'd be like, "Oh shit, my uncle's calling me." You know what I mean? If my aunt was calling me, it'd be a little different. You know what I'm saying? He's like, "All right, my aunt's calling me. Let me talk to her real quick."
Yeah.
When you don't like converse with someone on a daily basis, the relationship isn't necessarily there.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't see them in person. If you're not talking to them on the phone, they're not in your life. You know what I'm saying? You kind of like that flame kind of slowly dies out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Until eventually you see that person again. You're like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, catch up after time. Especially if you were really good friends or if you were family members. You know, you catch it up. You kind of bring that relationship back.
Yeah.
But when you don't talk to someone, like you said, when someone excommunicates a family member, you lose that relationship eventually. And I think it's very important that people keep their relationships going. Like I feel like a lot of families nowadays, you know, the relationship, like that flame isn't there compared to families like 10 years ago. And I think one of the main problems could be technology.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like just like, not to cut you off, but a lot of like games and stuff. Not even games. It's just social media.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of kids these days don't connect with their parents, don't connect with siblings because they're just always in their phone. It's that damn phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like why do that when you just have like dopamine right there? You know what I mean? Like it's a crazy thing. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to say that.
No, you're good. I was actually getting to that, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the technology, like the tablets and stuff. They like when your 2-year-old's crying, instead of like coming up to them and asking what the problem is, trying to sort the problem out, talking to them, forming that relationship, that bond. Just give them a tablet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like.
And to go off this, actually, when I was snowboarding the other day, I fell down because I'm learning this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I fell down, so I'm sitting here, right, and this kid, and I assume his dad is just right in front of me, and this kid is just like tweaking out because he can't get his he was skiing, he can't get the ski back on. He's like, I'm gonna kill myself, and then it's just like this dad's just like letting him talk like this. I'm like, yo, I didn't say nothing because it's their business. You know what I mean? But I was just thinking like. This is how you're gonna act like in public too. Like,
Yeah.
is there? And he's not like a really young kid, but he's maybe like 12 or 13.
And
But
he's like saying all that whack
yeah,
shit,
yeah.
you
It's
know
like
what I mean?
it's like first off, like you really think of it. It's not even that deep. It's a ski. You're out here to have fun, and you're borderline crying over it. You know what I mean? Like he's just trying to help you, but at the same time, it's like this dad just letting him happen. He's just like he's just standing there watching him almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I'm just judging him, but like I just feel like there was just a lack of communication between the both of them.
Yeah.
And obviously, I can cut him aside. He's a kid. He doesn't know much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't know all that. But even still, it was just bizarre of me. It's just bizarre to see because at least for me, I was never like that. At least I don't think. It's my perspective. You know what I mean? People could have a different one, but I don't know. It was just. It was definitely just a rare sight to see like this kid just saying I'm gonna kill myself over just a fucking. A minor inconvenience, yo. Like you're just on the side of a mountain, like
he doesn't even realize what he's saying.
Yeah, like I don't feel like I said stuff like that as a kid. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't out here just like I dropped a pencil. I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I just feel like I'm gonna kill myself. It's too much of a nonchalant topic, and not like what's the word I'm looking for? Something to describe like it's just. We're desensitized to what it truly means. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's a very used word, and for just a kid to say that, I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. That was all.
Yeah, I think with that, like people don't necessarily teach their kids discipline as well as like what they taught them back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like back in the day, kids were getting their ass whooped all the time, which I do not support. But I do think like once in a while, little Jimmy can get his ass whooped.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, right?
Yeah, like it's like you don't want to beat the shit out your kid all the time, but if your kid is a nuisance, like if your kid's beating other kids up,
I wouldn't say a nuisance. That nuisance is kind of a crazy word.
Yeah, but if he's acting like one,
yeah,
he's acting like he's just like my a cousin of mine and his son were playing basketball, and one of the kids on the court took the ball away and was being just an asshole, and Jordan was like, yeah, why are you acting like this, man?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he was cussing too, and Jordan was like, why are you cussing, man? Like, come on, man, calm down, it's just basketball. And the kid cussed him out.
That's
the kid
crazy.
Cussed him out, like just straight cussed him out on the court, and then my cousin ended up walking away with his kid.
Yeah, at that point you have to because that's just disrespect. You know what I mean?
Like the kid's mom should be disciplining him.
You know
what I mean? Should be showing him the way. Should be showing him the ropes. Like I don't think I could ever act like that here. I used to be very disrespectful. My dad never taught me respect and never took the time to teach me respect in that aspect. You know what I mean? He never whooped my ass. I got my ass whooped like once or twice by him, but he never really like whooped my ass, and that kind of resulted in me being very disrespectful until I was like 13. I was like, damn, I gotta kind of tighten up. I gotta be more aware. Yeah. And then the mushroom trip happened, and then I just kind of started to be more respectful. But then I noticed me losing that when I came here. I was getting like spoiled. Like my aunt, like look what my aunt buys me. You know what I mean? Like she spoils me literally. She does our dishes. She cooks for us. And I noticed myself arguing and being more disrespectful now than ever before. Minus the fact when I was like 10, 12. When I was super young. Yeah. But like throughout my whole entire teenage life, I've never been disrespectful to adults, and I think it's because. Well, I think it's because I was never disciplined as a young man, as like a kid growing up, and I also think it's because like I'm kind of spoiled, which I enjoy. Don't get me wrong, but, like I don't think I'm going to spoil my kid like I'm spoiled here. I
don't think you're spoiled. Like you're going through a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? I kind of struggle with the same mindset. Like maybe it's because like we almost block out all the bad stuff, and then we only look at the good.
Yeah.
At least that's how I view it. That's how I view my situation. Like I have had technology. Like I have a Nintendo Switch that all have been gifted to me. You know what I mean? But like now I'm like, damn, I'm kind of spoiled. But when you look back on it and like look at all the bad stuff that happened before that, you know what I mean? Like you said you were homeless at one point.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like being spoiled to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like to a certain extent, yeah, you could view it as being spoiled, but also just think about it like this: like they're rewarding you for like all the stuff you've been through.
Yeah, that's kind of what my aunt says. She's like, you never had a life, so I'm giving you one. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
So like, if you look at it that way, yeah, you could say you're spoiled, but at the same time, it's just like, they're trying to give you the best life they can.
Yeah.
That's how I have to view. That's also how I'm trying to view mine. Like I'm not spoiled. They're just trying to do the best they can for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Spoiled is just like you never had to work for anything.
Yeah.
You had to work for stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you're working now. Like you fucking overnight shoveling snow. Like that's crazy stuff, man. 2 hours of sleep, crazy.
Yeah, it's not fun. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's definitely tiring work.
Nah, for sure.
And like on the same note, with work and society now, do you think like people should, like for instance, when you're having a baby, right? Do you think both parents should get leave to form that relationship with that baby?
Yeah.
Right. Now, do both parents get leave, or is it only
Predominantly, a lot of times only the mom gets leave.
the mother?
And that's mainly just because like the mindset that a man has to go out and provide.
Yeah.
But I feel like I know Walmart does it at least. Well, I don't know if because I know a young guy actually. He was 19. His name was Omar that worked at Walmart. He actually got leave. I don't know if it was paid or not. I think it was, but he got leave for the baby for like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Just to be there with the mom, through all the labor process, because it's a very emotional process for both parents. You know what I mean? So obviously they want to be together.
Yeah.
So I feel like Walmart doing that was pretty cool of them, but I know a lot of other companies just don't do that, especially if like smaller businesses.
Yeah.
They can't afford that. But if there was like some sort of government assistance, and maybe there is, maybe I'm just talking on my ass, you know what I mean? But if there was government assistance, that I feel like that's also just another good use of like tax dollars and funds, just to make sure both parents could
Form
be
a
there.
relationship.
Yeah, form the relationship with the baby. Make sure they, and more above all else, just have each other's backs.
Yeah. And like something else I noticed is that you only get a couple months leave.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is just my opinion. I don't know all the works because we're probably gonna have to put more taxes into it if we want this.
Yeah.
But I think both parents should get leave for at least a year, so that like when that baby's born, it can have a relationship with the mom and the dad, with both of them being there, not having to worry about money.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about like the external things, like with ADHD, for instance. With it being caused, like from what I understand, when you're an infant, you're hearing your parents constantly argue about money or about this, that, and the fourth. If both parents are getting stable pay, they're both in that child's life. I think, me personally, if they have a good relationship, I think they won't argue or fight as much, leading to that first year of that child's development being more on the positive aspect or positive end of things. You know what I'm saying?
That's actually really good, and I feel like in order to achieve that, it would have to be government funded. Because I was just thinking to myself, like, I don't know any company that would just allow that.
Yeah.
Like, just a coworker just leave because they had a baby. It sounds evil to say, but that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these major companies, for better or for worse, aren't going to care for the little guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you said, if we could like allocate some of our tax dollars for that, I feel like that'd be actually just a really cool program. You know what I mean? In theory, but. That's a really good idea.
Well, I feel like this all ties back into the psychedelics and the veterans, how like we're not handling how we treat certain individuals mentally properly.
Yeah.
Like the development of a child is very important. When
100%.
When the dad, like say if the dad never gets leave and he's away from that child 8 hours every single day, that child's going to be way closer to the mom than the dad at that point in life. Like both parents are supposed to be there to show that child attention, and that goes like this is like how would I say that? Not psychedelic. It's like psychology. This is like human psychology.
Psychological.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like both parents have to be there to raise that child. Both parents have to stay there to raise that child. And I feel like in America at least, more people are worried about making money to raise the child than spending time with the actual child.
Yeah.
But they have to go out and make that money. You can't be homeless. You can't be homeless with the kid. You know what I'm saying? You've got to continuously support your house. You know what I'm saying? Your household. You got to continuously support that. You know what I mean? And I feel like that the mental aspect of it isn't really looked at. You know what I mean? Same thing with the veterans and them, coming back from war. Like, they don't look at the mental aspect of it as much as they should. You know what I mean? I think veterans should be, like, looked after a lot more than they are. Same thing with, like, I know this is a crazy range of topics, but same thing with, like, infants. I feel like we should put a lot of our tax dollars into certain programs that could help that.
Yeah.
Like 1 year leave or like psychedelics for veterans to like actually cure their PTSD and cure what they have going on mentally, so that they don't go to alcohol for relief or any other drug for relief, and they become addicted to the drug, and next thing you know they're homeless.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the homeless are veterans. I wouldn't say a lot of the homeless are veterans, but a good portion
of veterans become homeless.
Yeah, a good portion of veterans become homeless. Yeah. Exactly. Or become similar, and like they might have a home, but is it really home?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Or they don't have a home here in their heart.
Sounds like just above all else, let's allocate more of our money that we're spending on taxes just to the common folk. The people who serve the country, just do their due diligence.
Do their due diligence.
Yeah, that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just like, just all around, just improve our quality of living.
And I think that's another issue with America, is the fact that we aren't investing enough of our time and money. I didn't want to say time, but it's time, man. We're not investing enough of that into learning about human psychology and learning how to keep people on the positive end of things. Because the suicide rate in America is crazy. The suicide rate is like astronomical compared to other countries. And actually, like most of the time, it's developed countries. It's not even like, if you look at the suicide rate in undeveloped countries, it's not nowhere near as high as it is in America, or like England or China or Japan. Like,
And do you think that's like a call, like due to like not feeling the need to do stuff? Like, I know in America, there's very often the case, like, people just don't find a meeting, you know what I mean? And it's just like they don't have a use, so I guess they just kill themselves just because that point gets to a breaking point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like in these underdeveloped countries, there's just always something that can be done. There's always something to work towards. And maybe I'm just privileged in saying this, but I feel like that is just like almost like a difference in suicide rates, you know what I mean? It's just the need for the country to be better is astronomically different. Like, in America, we're at a certain point where it's just like we're coming to almost a standstill in our development. You know what I mean? Like, we have plenty of food, water, all that good stuff. We have easy access to all these things. It's very easy to come by these things. And for these other countries that are not, they have to like actively work towards it. Yeah. If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
And I don't know. Maybe, like I said, I don't know what these other countries look like in person. I would have to go there and see what the actual conditions are like. Understand their culture. But maybe that's just, from my perspective right now, maybe that's just the reason. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of young adults aren't finding meaning in their lives. They're not feeling like a direction to go towards.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that often leads to like not so good solutions, like substance abuse, suicide, all that good stuff, or bad stuff.
Well, I think meaning and purpose have a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I feel like people here, they lack purpose. They don't feel as if they have a purpose. They go to their 9 to 5, they come back home and they go to sleep.
Yeah.
They eat shit, fucking sleep and work. That's all that's all people do, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I feel like that can lead to a purposeless life. And I feel like there's a couple factors to that. One, they're working a job that they don't really have pleasure for. They don't really enjoy that job. They're going there just to work it. Two, I feel like it's the disconnection with self and the disconnection with nature.
Yeah.
Especially with substance abuse and social media. You're constantly smoking weed, you're constantly drinking, or you're constantly scrolling. You're distracting yourself from you. Even just scrolling on your phone, you're distracting yourself from you. You're not spending time with you. And when you're not spending time with you mentally, just on a mental level, you're not in your own mind, you're not in your own landscape.
Yeah.
You're going to feel, I don't think it's a direct result, but you're going to feel some purposelessness because you're not with you. You're not even with yourself. You're constantly with your phone screen. You know what I'm saying? You're constantly on the reels. You never spend time with yourself, and if you are spiritual, if we are souls, if we are individuals, if our soul is connected to our brain, that could be a reason why. Because you're not connecting yourself with your soul. You're not connecting yourself with your spirit.
Yeah.
You're constantly distracting yourself with substances or social media or whatever it may be. And the connection with nature. Like, we are nature. We are a part of nature.
We are animals at the end of the day.
Exactly. And when you're not connected with that, you're constantly in your house, you're constantly on a computer, you're sitting in your office desk, you're working, you're not connecting with that nature, you're not connecting with that outside part of you. I feel like lesser developed countries, they have that. They go out, they connect with nature, they connect with themselves. They're not constantly on their phone, they're not constantly scrolling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they have stuff to do.
Exactly. And in America, the stuff we have to do is totally different than someone in Peru has to do.
It's manufactured.
Exactly. And we lack that connection with ourselves and with nature, and I think that's really what it is why the suicide rates are so high. And I feel like psychedelics could be a way to reconnect individuals and people with nature. It could be a way, because I don't know if you ever heard this cliche, but when someone like takes a psychedelic, they're like, oh, we're all one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like
hippies.
Like a hippie, exactly. I feel like it's a good way of reconnecting individuals with nature, or reconnecting them with themselves. Because at the end of the day, we are nature. Yeah. So it's like reconnecting with yourself, reconnecting with nature.
We all live on the same planet, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, I think that's bringing things to a wrap. We're at like almost an hour and 30.
Really?
Yeah. We've been talking for a while. This has been a good conversation though. Like we've branched a whole broad of topics.
Dude, I didn't even know it was that long. I thought it's been like 40 minutes. Alright, I guess that'll wrap up the second episode of the Catatonic podcast.
Great talk, by the way. I really enjoyed this talk.
Yeah. It was good stuff. We're keeping this up on a weekly basis.
Yes.
We're going to keep this shit up. We got to bring someone else in.
Nah, for sure. I was talking to Josh about it today. He might be interested. So I definitely have a couple people that might want to come in and talk.
I'm down with it.
Yeah. Get some of your boys from school, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Definitely going to find some more senior arrangement, though.
Yeah, got add some stuff to this, make it look a little better. I got like a little Bigfoot statue.
What if like one day we get like a studio for this? That'd be dope.
I'm thinking of getting a pole barn, and upstairs, like the upstairs of the pole barn, turn it into like the podcast room.
That'd be cool.
With like like the sound things and all that shit. I'm down with it, bro. Get a real camera, you know what I mean?
That'd be on, yeah. Because my phone only has so much limit, you know what I mean?
Exactly. We can't be taking up all the space on your phone.
Yeah. But thanks for listening, I guess.
Yeah, thank you for listening.